This is a map of the metro system in China's stupidly well-designed capital city, Beijing. All these different lines indicate the presence of a metro line, but look really closely and you'll notice something interesting. They don't intersect. These metro lines running underneath the bowels of China's ancient fundamental city don't join at a common point, and this is for a reason. When metro systems join at common points, things start to get a bit messy. Take Philadelphia, for example, in the United States. If we zoom in, you might notice that Philadelphia's train system looks completely different to that of Beijing. All of the lines intersect and fan outwards, making the system really good at moving people from the suburbs into the downtown area. But one slight problem, however, are all the people needing to go from suburb to suburb, rendering the whole system completely useless for thousands of the people relying on it daily. In stark contrast, you have Beijing's metro system that is really good at moving people across the city. Let me show you another map, this time of high-speed rail lines in China. Now all of these lines indicate the presence of high-speed rail lines, and as you can see, it is incredibly dense, especially when you compare it to the United States. While the US does have some higher speed rail lines, it's barely an effective means of transportation, and in fact pales in comparison to what has been built in China. In fact, just within a decade, China has managed to build more high-speed rail than every country combined. How did China accomplish this? And what makes China an insanely well-designed country? Well, to understand the genius of China, we have to look at two key ingredients a country must have to be successful when it comes to high-speed rail. First, you need lots and lots of people. Not just a large amount, but preferably numerous clusters of high-density population areas. China certainly ticks this box, and has over 100 individual cities with more than 1 million people. Furthermore, a majority of these cities are very conveniently clumped together, sometimes even making up megalopolises, especially on the southern and eastern coasts. Secondly, for high-speed rail to be successful, a country needs to be able to build it efficiently, and at a relatively low cost. The sheer scale of China's grand plans, combined with its engineering expertise, meant that highly experienced Chinese construction companies could optimize the entire process. In fact, they could optimize to such an extent that a report by the World Bank found that the average cost of Chinese high-speed rail projects were at least 40% cheaper than the European equivalent. Having this level of efficiency is fundamental to having good design. However, what's arguably even more important than either of these 2 points is having the right length of journey for high-speed rail. You see, according to research, for trips shorter than 100 miles, it generally is much likelier that forms of transportation other than high-speed rail, such as driving or catching a bus, will be much more suitable. And for trips longer than around 750 miles, it's usually a lot better to fly. So if we put all that together, what we're left with is a sweet spot between 100 miles and 750 miles, too long to drive and too short to fly, yet a perfect length for high-speed rail. And China knows this. In fact, when China first began amassing its huge network of high-speed rail, 8 out of 10 of every line had a total length within these boundaries, longer than 100 miles and shorter than 750 miles. While China is now home to the world's longest high-speed rail line, the world's fastest high-speed rail line connecting Beijing to Shanghai, and the first commercial maglev line reaching speeds of up to 270 miles per hour. The country's incredible design and planning isn't restricted to just high-speed rail. In fact, trains are only one part of China's enviable and ambitious infrastructure. For example, if you're walking through Chinese cities like I do on a daily basis, each district has everything you need right around the corner. Think 15-minute cities, only shorter. And while walking is convenient, safe and pleasant, most people actually prefer using the extensive shared bicycle schemes coupled with the dedicated bike lanes. Now, that's not to say that people in China don't use cars, but it is to say that China has successfully created an environment that is favourable to bikes. The roads are wide, quiet and suitable for bikes, and it's not only expensive to buy and own a car in Tier 1 Chinese cities, but in some places you have to also wait 3 to 5 years via a lottery system in order to purchase one. Furthermore, there are only 1.2 parking slots for every car. What effect does this have, and how does it relate to China being incredibly well designed? Well, in America, there are approximately 8 parking spots for every car. Not only does this waste an incredible amount of space, but it's also significant in that the more parking spots there are, the easier it is to drive, and thus the higher likelihood people will just drive somewhere. This is simply not the case in China. With a subway station or a shared bike usually only meters away, and despite new Chinese-made electric vehicles being incredibly affordable, the average car ownership per household is only 0.45. Going all in on public transport was perhaps a risky move, but one that has undoubtedly paid off for China and its population that use it every day. Lines have been built through mountains, under lakes and over other tricky terrain, and the country shows no sign of slowing down the laying of track, showing that building infrastructure for the population to use is top of the government's priorities. If you liked this video, and for more videos like this, subscribe to the channel.